Hey guys, and welcome to Armchair Conversation with Rob. The other day I talked about working on the enemy within. Um, it was based on an African proverb that if there is no enemy inside, the enemy outside can do us no harm. I wanted to expound a little bit on it in a particular perspective because the one thing that I think that most of us have a struggle with that we don't even know that we have, it's called, they call it a scotoma or a blind spot in your thinking in particular, is the fact that some of us do not even realize that we have any amount of self-loathing. In other words, we basically just don't like ourselves. And so we go through life thinking that we don't have certain things. We don't have certain skills or abilities, or we go through life thinking that we can't have certain skills or abilities, or that we're unlovable. That one in particular. Big cause of misery in my own life. There were times when I allowed myself to be put in situations and had things done to me and let myself do things that were just to enhance and reiterate the fact to my internals, my subconscious, that I was unlovable. You know, I let people and things get in the way. I let lack of money get in the way, make me feel like I was unlovable because I didn't have the right watch, or I didn't wear the right shoes, or, I might wear hand-me-down clothing, or maybe instead of shopping at a name brand store, I may have had to shop at like a department store, like a Kmart or Charleston department store, someplace where they had like off brands that we could buy for cheap. Not being able to understand gratefulness for just being able to have things that other people don't have, like basic functions like clothes and shoes. Until I got older and I was working with, you know, some of the more underprivileged people in our society, and also with people who basically, for lack of resources, opportunities, have less than others, did I start to realize that gratitude was in order. And so it was a reason for me not to love myself. Being not necessarily the tallest, what I considered the most handsome man, made it also possible for me to not love myself. Feeling like I wasn't handsome enough, or I wasn't smooth enough. You know, people talk about things like, when I was growing up, we called it like spitting game or having raps. You know, in other words, being able to talk to the opposite sex or a significant other in a way that would cause them to like you. You know, I wasn't very articulate in that way. I was more of the kid who was introspective, introverted, and so therefore that was another reason not to love myself, to think I was unlovable, to think there was something wrong with me. And I give the examples, and there are hundreds, and we all have our own, whatever they may be. You live in the wrong neighborhood, you drive the wrong car, you don't have a car, you're not a jock, you're not a nerd, you're not a blah, 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 blah. Okay? Basically, those are all reasons that you put in your way. In other words, bringing up the enemy within to give you the feeling that you're unlovable, that someone out there is not going to like your particular brand of whatever you bring. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. It's not true at all. And if you start to look at the fact that there are billions of people on this planet, it is statistically impossible for you to be unlovable. Okay? There is going to be somebody out there, that you hear the old phrase like, there's somebody out there for everybody. Well, the older phrases aren't necessarily maybe as cool as some of the stuff we spit today, but they are quite sound in theory. They didn't even realize they were sound in theory because it wasn't a global village at the time some of these things were told to us, but they're actually quite wise. There are billions of people on this planet. It is impossible for there not to be one single person on this planet who does not love you. Even if you're the most vile, evil person in the world, which honestly, if you were, you probably wouldn't be listening to me. So take that and smoke it. But you are still going to find somebody out there who is going to be into whatever you're into. The likelihood that you're going to find a good match for you is actually much higher than just one other person in the whole entire world. In fact, I think the statistic that I saw was somewhere between 200 to 2,000 people on this planet right now will be a match for you, both emotionally, psychologically, and physically. So, this crap about being unlovable needs to go the way of the world, as it were, because everybody has something. Nobody has everything, but everybody has something that is going to turn on, excite, interest another person. Because when I say unlovable, I don't just mean sexual love or relationship love. I mean just people, their friends, family. Somebody out there somewhere is going to like what you bring. And that's why it's so important to be unique and be yourself and be okay with that. Because somebody's going to like what you bring. Somebody's going to like your style, your smile, your hair, your funky breath, your funky armpits. Somebody's going to like that. The statistical chances that it doesn't happen is astronomical, because you're talking about billions of people on this planet. Now, granted, you don't have access to all the billions of people. So you still do have to work on yourself. You do have to find things that are going to be generally pleasing, if that is your goal, to the public. Or you can do the total antithesis of that, and eventually you will attract what you need. But my point is that none of us is unlovable. We all have something that is lovable about us, and we all deserve love. We're all worthy of love, and we all should have it. But a lot of times we get in our own way, because when we think we're unlovable, we will do things to make that a reality. You will not show up for things you need to show up for that would be an avenue for you to make friends and find a likable social partner. You're going to say things that are going to make you unattractive to anyone. You're going to do things that are going to make you unattractive, to push you out of the circles maybe that you're interested in, if you feel like that you're unlovable and that you're not good enough. There's a lady, Marissa Peer, that the foundation of a lot of the things that she taught when I was listening to her was that you are good enough, and you need to say it to yourself, and you need to feel it, and you need to say it until you feel it and start to understand it. Because when you realize that you are, then you begin to behave differently than you would if you're trying to make yourself unlovable and ungood enough. It's not a word, but you get what I'm saying. You have to understand that you are good enough. Somebody out there is going to love what you do, and it's okay to be yourself. And you have to work on those things every day. It's not something that just comes by me telling it to you once or you saying it once. I literally had to repeat those mantras daily for months before I began to even get an inkling that I might believe it. And even now, even though I've had the goal of getting out here and talking to people, and I'm doing that, and I'm making some moves forward in my life to grow myself and to be more productive and to develop myself, there are still days when I don't feel good enough, loved enough, or lovable. But you have to fight those things every day, just like you have to wake up every morning and roll out of bed if you want to get anything done, or put your feet on the floor, take that breath, that next breath, look to find what it is that you're after. You have to do those things every single day. They're not a surprise. The sun comes up every day. It shines on the just and the unjust, as the Bible says. There are opportunities every day. There are places you can go, things you can do, things you can say every day, and you have to do them if you want anything, right? Well, it's no different with loving yourself. You have to be able to look yourself in the eye and tell yourself that you're all right, and that you're lovable, and that you love you. And if you start with you loving you, then other people will begin to love you too. I have another mentor that I like, Astarius Miraculi, and he has a line in a poem called "I Do Take Me." If you ever get a chance to, depending on what your interests are, his name is Astarius Miraculi. He plays the didgeridoo, and he does poetry and spirit raps and things of that nature. He's into resonance and sound. But he talks about in his poem, "I Do Take Me," he talks about, and the line was, you know, once I really hated me, a self-fulfilling prophecy, others began to hate me too. Self-destruction became my due. Well, you create that for yourself if you don't even want to try to love yourself and understand that you're enough and be okay with who you are as an individual. then other people are going to follow suit as well. So you just got to remember that, and you got to work on it. So just a little bit of a rant, but I want to talk about being unlovable and not understanding that you're good enough already just as you are. Okay to be better, but good enough as you are right now. So let's put it like this. I am enough. I've always been enough. I'll always be enough. I'm good enough, and I'm lovable right as I am right now, even though I want to be better. Listen, guys, thanks for sharing my armchair. Have a great day whenever and wherever you are. And if you like it, subscribe. If you don't, hey, search engines are out there. You will find what you need, because somebody out there is going to love this and somebody else is going to find what they need other than this. Have a great day, and I love you. Take care.